Welcome back to Made of Wires, where we're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We've been working on the Grant Ralph Sifa boss fight, and that's what we're going to continue to do today. We've made some progress, like I said yesterday, and throughout the week. I don't have a save point here yet, so we can't start debugging and adding symbols, but I'll work on that, and maybe we'll get to that later. Let's jump right in. I don't have a lot of time today, so it'd be good to get going as much as we can. And we're going to find areas that need some love, things that we don't have yet. So we have boss doors. Boss doors, we should look to see if it's a match with other boss doors entities. I probably could run the dupes report. I think that's still working locally. And then it looks like we have 4 or so bigger sections of stuff that's probably going to be split up into different areas. Let's try and see if the report's target still works. So one of my big pet peeves, and it should be one of yours too, with CI systems is many of them don't have a straightforward way to run those targets. I shouldn't say many of them. GitHub Actions doesn't have a straightforward way to run those actions locally, which is a huge issue. And so what I have tended to do, and this isn't just a problem with GitHub Actions, I've had this problem with other CI systems as well, but mostly with GitHub Actions. I tend to use a different build system, whatever maybe the native build system is for the rest of that project, to build task execution into that, and then make whatever action runner for the CI, just kind of a thin wrapper to call into that other system. And that makes it easy, relatively straightforward to run those targets. A lot of the reporting stuff was built in GitHub Actions originally, and I moved it into Make and other things like that. I know people don't like Make for running things. I don't know why. It's very straightforward. And for tasks like that, we have things like Make Help, better in other systems, but anyway. Let's look at... We're going to look at Build US reports. Mr. Scary Developer. I like your work. Hey, I like that you showed up. Thanks for coming by. So let's look at the duplicates report. And we're going to look for things that are false and that are also in RBOO. Well, that's a bummer. What about things that are in RBOO? Do we have... We don't... Oh, I always forget. I've never fixed this because it doesn't bother me that much, but anytime we add a new overlay, we have to add it to the dupes report. There's a couple things with the dupes report that I would like to fix. Some of it, like this, having to imagine yourself running from the dupes directory. Let's run it again. Did a lot of work early on as well, making the dupes report fast. Why are we having to rebuild so much? Oh, yeah. Well, when you run the dupes report, you have to dump symbols. I should fix that. You have to dump all the symbols, which overrides the assembly, which should still compile. Basically, you're forcing symbols back into the matched functions that we've decompiled already. And throughout that process, you get some files touched that need to be overridden. But at least we don't have to think about those things. It's all done for us. All right, let's see if this one worked. And anytime this takes more than a few seconds, I get antsy and then I have to find the problem. All right, here we go. Nope, not that one. All right, so now we have RBOO again. So we're going to look for things that are false and have RBOO in them. So we have a create explosion function that looks like the generic explosions, but is a little different, and it probably is, like this create explosion puff. So maybe the explosion puff opaque function. The all night sword, it matched. So our threshold is 90% match, and that's relatively close, but probably not the same. Boss torch probably is the same as the RARE, and this boss fight is happening in the RARE stage, so we could probably pull that out into common code. Another one here. So we have a match already in RBOO. That's relatively close. So not a ton, but some. Let's look at Entity Boss Torch and see if we can get that to be shared. Sounds like an interesting problem. So we're going to look at RBOO's Boss Torch. We're going to look for AREs. Can you add Arabic in the game? So the PSP version, that should be a relatively straightforward change. I don't speak Arabic, so you would need somebody to do the translation. But that would be an interesting mod, actually. And maybe, so any language I'm remotely familiar with has a translation already, or that I have family members that are familiar with. So I'm trying to think of what language I could do, like an AI translation maybe of something, just as a tech demo. That's a good idea. Thanks, 82. Hey, Roaming. Good to have you back. Decompiling harder than redeveloping the game again. The big thing with decompiling is nobody pays us to do this. Oh, Arabic's from right to left. Good point. Yeah, all of the languages, as far as I'm aware, that have been translated are like Latin derivatives, Romance languages, and then like Asian character-based languages. So that's interesting. A lot of the text is like monospaced fonts, and so if the width of the box is known, which it usually is, it's probably fine. So you'd be pre-rendering basically the layout of the text, but it is already, all the line breaks are embedded into the way that the text is encoded. So I think that's probable. But again, like I know Arabic exists. That's like the extent of my knowledge of the language. People speak it. People write it. So I do think it's a tractable problem. I'll put it that way. All right, so we're gonna look at Boss Torch. Oh, and Boss Torch is already shared, which is good. It's including the ARE version of eBoss Torch. I don't know if I like that necessarily, but that's the way that it is. So we have this inverted stage flag, which I think I have set already in our RBO O.H. I'm going to split this way. Yes. So that should be fine. So let's try it and see. Maybe it'll just work. I'll have to map the data too. So let's open up. We're going to go one more level up and go into the ST directory to get to that. Well, that's very kind of you. Oh, and I missed it on the display. So there's a couple things that we'd have to overcome. One is there may or may not be a built-in font in the PSP, and if there's not a built-in font, we'd have to build a font. The encoding might be a little odd as well. I'm more familiar with how text is encoded for the PlayStation version. So they don't use ASCII encoding. It's a custom encoding that it's instead of control characters for the first 48 fields, 48 ish, 64. I don't remember how many control characters there are before letters and numbers start. But letters and numbers start basically right away at 0. And most of it is encoded in shift-JIS, which is the Japanese 8-bit encoding, which has possibly some issues too. So yeah, it's possibly finding whether or not there's a font that exists. So it looks like we have data already too. So let's just try it and see if this works. That'd be great if we could just use it. So long story short, I do think it's a tractable problem. Getting somebody to do the translation would probably be the most amount of work. There's a reasonable amount of text in the game. So it looks like we have some macros or globals to define. We're going to define those and what those are. Pal Torch A and Pal Torch B, so those are going to be palettes. And let's see how those are defined. I'll do it this way. Can I do this? So these are defined the same way. I guess let's start a palette Inu. Yeah, I'm sure, especially with a game like Symphony of the Night, that there would be no shortage of people willing to work on that. Two types in one empty type declaration. Let's think about what's going on here. Oh, did I not put a... That's what it is. So a few things, prize drops we need, and init environment. A little surprised. So init environment, we do have a symbol for that already. Not sure why that's not... Oh, maybe not. Maybe we don't. So we should be able to find that, and then we should be able to find the reference to prize drops as well. So let's do both those things. So we're going to look at the assembly and just pull out the symbols from there. RBO 0, non-matchings, E-Boss torch. E-Boss torch. And we'll pull up the symbol table next to it. And unknown symbols are just given their VRAM address, which is exactly what we want. And the other one was the prize drops, and where is prize drops used? I don't see it in here. Let's try again. Unknown reference to prize drops in eCollect. Why would that have changed? Oh, I know why it would change. Let's look at symbols. I'm gonna kill all of the assembly for this. And re-extract it all. It's possible that I had this symbol and it got blown away somewhere. So we'll have to find it again. All right, so prize drops. Let's find out where that's used. So it's an entity heart drop. There's gonna be some issues here because we're only gonna have non-matching. So we need the address for it's always fun when this happens. We need the address for entity heart drop. And that will tell us where the function is. And then so it's after destroy entity. Should be the next. That's RBO prize drops. Try again. The symbol is here. Let's go to eCollect. Sorry, debugging whatever's going wrong here. Not what I planned to do. It looks like the .o file. You know, not that. Undefined reference to RBOO prize drops. Why would this not be defined? It exists. Oh, let's see where it is. Maybe we accidentally took it out. If I didn't have the correct layout for the memory that I was taking, or the data segment that I was taking, it's possible that yes, okay, so this was the issue. The segment config in Splat said that this is part of torch data, but this is not part of torch data, so torch data is incorrect here. And so we need to find the correct torch data, which is not this. So that requires going back over here, going around and around, finding the real torch data. So this looks like 405, 505, 605, 705. This first part looks correct. But we have this marked as prize drops. So that means this can't be both. So let's go back over here and look at where this is used, and emboss torch. It's passed to animate entity. And it is price drops. Weird. So this seems wrong. So somehow the symbol for prize drops is being used also as the argument to animate entity. So either there was some corruption and we're pointing to the wrong thing, or something else has gone a little haywire. So we can't, what that means though is we can't use this. So we're going to take this, and this is going to be a little strange. We're going to copy it over, and we have to name this. I'll change it to the OVL exported version. Hey Mozilla, good to have you back. I was actually talking to Eldritch last week, I think. Do you have a script which shows entity IDs or some other metadata about the things that are being drawn on the screen? Things are going well otherwise. I think that other data is correct. So we can't make this static anymore. For BizHawk, is that something that's publicly available, or would you mind sharing that in Discord? I'll log in eventually to Discord. I think that would make naming things quite a bit easier. Awesome. That'd be awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Parse error at the end of input. Yeah, we gotta go up a directory. Back down into stage. Okay, that works. So this is really bizarre. So the eCollect file is basically something that's shared among a bunch of all the stages effectively. And so there's some things that you define, like what the dollar values are for different money prize drops. But the code itself, for the most part, is identical. And so we have to define certain symbols to tell that file where the data is defined, and one of those things is prize drops. But here, that symbol is not actually the prize drops, and there's no prize drops because it's a boss fight, so it's not really used. But here, the symbol that was assigned to prize drops is actually this animation data. What that makes me think is, and we can verify this, maybe the eCollect object was being compiled for the inverse catacombs and then being reused for this boss fight. Let's try that. Let's see if this address is used in that boss fight as well. It's not. I would think that this would be an RARE. Just confirming that that's... Yeah, that's where... Sorry, Reverse Coliseum, not Catacombs. So all of those should be mapped. We should have... prize drops there already. And it's not the same location. So I'm not sure how how this is getting mapped, but it doesn't seem correct. So this works. I'm going to write a note in this file concerning that. There isn't a good way really for us to add an additional symbol for like alias for the same thing. We might be able to. There's an option to add a duplicate. Maybe I'll try that. And then we could reuse this. All right, so we got that done. Weird, but what are you going to do? Let's close out all that. Let's look for... we have a clean non-matchings now. Let's see what's left and see where to go after this. So a relatively large, probably the main boss state machine here. We might have done that already. It may be one of the 3 characters as well. Or it could be that we did one of the 3 characters and the top 2 are the other 2 characters. I don't know which one's which yet. Let's choose something medium size. I don't have a ton of time. Actually, I'm going to go on the smaller side. And we'll see. So I want to see whether or not this is a entity update function. Those are going to be the most straightforward. And I'll probably stick to those actually for now. It is an einit data, so it is most likely an entity update function. And it has initialized entity in it too. That's another good hint. So we'll start a new scratch in decomp.me. And this is probably too simple, but we'll do it quickly. So we need to find where this is going to exist in the PSP as well. The first thing I'm going to do is get this working animate entity is going to take, technically it could be a animation. That's probably the best way to define it. Let me see what the type is before I do that. I always do it wrong and just say that it's an unsigned date animation entity frame. That's going to be an array. And these other 2 I'm going to get rid of. Add a new map to the existing castle. Mozilla's on the line. He can help you with that. We're going to do a few things to clean this up too. I don't think I'm creative enough to do that. That's not false modesty, that's just honest modesty. I enjoy playing. I don't know if I would enjoy designing. I guess I should, before I go too far into this, I should attempt to get this to compile. You know, leverage what we have. I don't have this definition, which is a bummer, but what are you going to do? You're going to go grab the definition. That's what you're going to do. That's in stage.h. So a bunch of these are going to be out of order, most likely. I'll use the PSP to figure that out. Facing left is never compared directly to 0, just truthy or not. My guess is that this is going to be used this way. Interesting choices by GCC. So these are what we call fixed values. This one is going to be fixed 2.5, and the other one is going to be, D is going to be negative 2.5. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then we get with that. Same thing here for velocity y, a little easier. These are going to be fixed 0.25. And negative 0.25. I'm going to change this, because this one is being used as a Boolean as well. I'm going to change it to not params here instead of an explicit check, and here I'm going to change it to params. I don't know if that's correct or not. We'll see. This looks like it can just be plus equals 32. Let's see, 256 plus 128. That's number 384? Yeah, 384. Rotate, I thought, was a PlayStation format 2012 fixed point number, so these values don't make a lot of sense to me. But I could be wrong about that. I don't recall offhand. Same thing here. This 0.8 is actually, or sorry, 800 is actually much smaller than a half. It's 1/32. And that is almost a match for the PlayStation. We have more to do, and like I said, there's probably ordering. Normally for plus equals 1, I would do plus plus, but it matches better, I think, next to the plus equals 2, so I'm going to keep it that way. Greater or equal to 7 is greater than 6. This looks like a shift... sorry, a minus equals velocity divided by 32. And sometimes we've seen that before, actually, elsewhere in this boss fight, that it is actually the shift instead of the division. And that looks like that is what it is there, and I forgot to get rid of the equal 0. So that matches. So this will match on the PlayStation. Most likely this ordering is wrong here. I think we got rid of almost all of the variables. Let's see. That one was pretty easy. Yeah. So what is interesting here? We need a unique number. And possibly this 1C, I think this was 1C0 maybe? No, 384 was 180. But it's negative, so it may not show up as a negative value. It might be the 2's complement. I want something unique to search for the PlayStation. Some of these fixed values actually might be pretty unique. Let's look at the decomp again. And yeah, let's look for this. So a lot of times having a sound effect ID is a unique identifier when looking for the same code on a different platform. But we don't have that here. So I look for other unique constants, sometimes functions. So we have a couple of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need something a little more unique than that. There's the negative. Any of the negative values are a little difficult because we're probably going to be looking at the 2's complement in the assembly. What else is unique about this? There is the negative, or the shift by 5. So it'd be an what instruction? SLT shift? No, it's shift SRTI. SRA. Shift right arithmetic? Okay, maybe. So let's change this grep a little bit. I'm going to list instead, and then use xargs to grep for SRA. And our function only has it once. And there's only one SRA by 5. So 1C8 has a bunch of shifts by all kinds of values. 298 has a shift by 13. So I think this might be it. And if it's not, that's okay. try some other ways to find this value. We're going to go to PSP. And then we'll see how close our function is. I'm going to need the animate entity struct. And I want to put this function declaration in here too. So I'm looking at the disassembly if I have to. So it does look like the right function. We're at 97, which is pretty good. Looks like this is inverted. GCC doesn't care. It'll put those in whatever order it wants. 33. This is a pass-through assignment. And that will get rid of, or it'll add the mask. Whether one is more optimal than the other, like if you were writing this, which way would you want to write it? It's probably not critical. It's the same number of instructions, and both of them are operating on registers, so there's no additional cycles or anything like that. So it probably doesn't make a difference. And that was it. The ordering was actually correct. Sometimes these field assignments are not correct. So it's good to see that they are here. We're going to take that back over, just make sure that it works still on PlayStation. And it does. All right, so where was our function? I didn't talk about what this function was doing at all. So we're rotating something. Again, I don't have a save point at this boss fight. I really should. I was going to get there just the old-fashioned way by playing the game, but I could set a breakpoint, or get myself started in that room, or outside the boss fight. But it looks like this is something that has a velocity. It's probably, it looks like something that's rising and rotating. What does that mean? I don't know. Let's find where it is. So, you know, something rising and rotating. Could be smoke. We'll find out. I don't expect any surprises. Pretty easy build. And let's go on to the next one. We don't have that much. This is actually a little easier than I thought it was going to be as an overlay. I don't feel like this boss fight is particularly memorable. So the things that I am interested in is whether some of these have a pad 2 input. That would be cool. You could find that. So I'm going to assume here that arg0 is an entity, but it might not be. This is not an entity update function, but it does look like it operates on an entity, kind of like a method would on a class or struct. And let's get a fresh decompile and see if those line up. Yep, that lines up pretty good. It looks like it may be a collision type function. I'm gonna try switching this around. Decomp.me uses slightly different keys from what I'm used to. We have -8 here on the stack pointer, which is looks like an optimization. Not quite sure what's causing that. The ordering here might be wrong as well. And what is unique or interesting about this? Not much. The hex 30 and tile map and being relatively short. Those are the things we have going for us. I'm going to look at the SPEU. So I'm going to take these and let's do a grep for the hex 30. Most of them have something. Okay. What about current entity? Many of them have that as well. And what about tile map? That as well. Okay, any with all three? Hey, Heavy Metal Mixer, good to have you back. Been a while. And there's only one that has all three, so sometimes you have to aggregate a bunch of stuff to find what you want. So in the olden days, we'd have a function like this, and you'd have to try all kinds of different permutations of how you could possibly write this function. So instead of having temp A0, this could actually be, is this concoction here greater than 30 or less than 30, something like that, I don't know, one way or the other. And then you do it all again down here. That could be. It could be in a variable like it is here. It could be this whole expression is duplicated. There's a lot of different ways that would be equivalent to do this that GCC then comes in and optimizes. And so with the PSP version, we don't have it optimized, and we know exactly how those expressions were formed. And we don't have to brute force several different things. Fix any bugs? Say not bugs necessarily. So we do have a variable, which is interesting. Let's throw this down here. Just trying to find some easy code. I have a short day today, so don't have a lot of time to spend. So I'm going to start with this. It looks like we might be able to say that this is a bool. I like that. And then we can say that this is true and false. I like that too. Let's go over to the decomp and see what might be going on. So the ordering is different, and the PSP is going to be a little more sensitive to the ordering of each of these fields. We do potentially have, this is a little strange, taking a reference to the self position and then dereferencing it here. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It doesn't mean that's not what's happening. What may be happening, and yeah, it might be. Let's do that. Let's make a sine 32. Pos x. And it'll be self-pos x equals self-pos x at I pi. And we can't quite... It is this... Oh my goodness, weird. This is weird. This is weird. So that gives us the reference that we need. But it's not giving us the store word, like I was hoping. So we're going to dereference that. And the order there seems off. See how often this is getting written back to S. Nah, not very often. Okay, I'm gonna go back to where it was. Let's do this. Let's just minus all these things instead of plusing the group. It's much worse. Yeah, the ints are 32 bits. That is correct. So an int is assigned 32-bit type. Back that out a little bit. The other option, and this doesn't seem like it's necessarily the case, but that we're taking a pointer to entity and then using that. That gets us the store here. But that v0 I see. So let's try this. No, that's not quite right. I was gonna say I'm going to back that out again. No, this is not right. I'm just trying a few different things. Okay, I'm going to back that out as well. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I thought in the C standard that expressions were interpreted left to right. That could be wrong. We don't have a reference to pos x is being taken, but we don't have a assignment to a variable, which is weird. So let's try this, which is gross, but may do what we want. And try reordering this. So we have current entity, our strange expression here. Actually, there's offset y is what we're missing. This may not be a I'm having some ideas. The ordering here looks wrong. It looks like there's a reference to X, but it's like disappearing, and usually that means it's a dead store. But the way that this is happening up here, I don't know why that would be. So what else could be going on? I definitely could have the wrong type here. And so possibly we need something else. This could be an array. Let's try that. Let's make it an array of these would be 0.32s. Or an array of 0.32 pointers. Or no, our offset is, let's make an array of signed 16s. And then what we're doing is an offset of 1. Let's take that. We'll start with that. So I'll keep this for now, but I don't think that's going to be the way that it is. We'll take this. I think it's actually offset 3. Because there's a 6 here somewhere. There, it's the 6. Oh, 6 is probably coming from one of these, so that's probably wrong. The other thing I'm going to do is not reference it directly. Too many sign extensions happening. Wrong ordering. We want the current entity load to happen first before the tile map, which is happening, but we need it to happen before this. And that's not happening. I'm going to try one more thing. Passing sign 16 arrays is pretty common. Okay, so this did work, and it is in the right place. Let's try the rest of this then. We don't have an SP10, but we're going to use self. I didn't expect that to be put in the right place. Okay, so it looks like it's mutating the input arg. The other thing that we have is a bunch of sine extensions. So these are being converted into 32 bits. So let's just make that 32 bits, and that looks like it works. We have one thing that's wrong somewhere along the way. Oh, two things that are wrong. Somewhere along the way, it looks like we're loading the wrong thing here, and we're making an assignment. Before doing the subtraction. So we're assigning it, and then temp S0 equals 30 minus temp S0. By 30, I mean 48, of course. So that looks righter. Odd mutating the input arg. That nothing wrong with it, but not common. Okay, it doesn't work. So maybe we're not mutating the input arg. So let's try that. Let's make a new Sine16 pointer. I would think that I would get another S0 register here. Yeah. So what if we took this away and just made this one? That doesn't work. So we need some way to either this is a pointer, but if we did that, let's try this. Put the plus inline. Doesn't work either. So there's something else going on here. I don't think it's a difference between the two versions. It seems like the stack pointer we could try making a second pointer here. The other thing is maybe, I mean, we could try faking it. No, yeah, so something else is going on here. Not quite sure what. Let me try a few things here. Instead of having this greater equals. I would like this to be less than. That fits my sensibilities better. Definitely does not work. But let's see what the PSP thinks. Yeah, it doesn't work over there either. I don't know. I'm going to leave this. I have to go. Leave this for a mystery for next week, maybe. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And you can go to sutton.z.dev to learn more about the project. You're watching Made Up of Wires. Adios.